What's going on, guys? It's me, Julian Fan HT here, and today we have another model plane review for you guys. Today I'll be reviewing the NG Models 1/400 scale Delta Airlines Airbus A330-900Neo. This is a really nice model to add to my Delta Airlines collection, and while I have not featured this model too much on my channel, I do want to give you guys a review to see what NG Models has to offer for their Airbus A330-900Neo mold. So, let's get started with the box as per usual. So you got the Airbus A330-900Neo tiles right there. You got the CJ image of the plane. You got the keep climbing together tiles right there. You got the keep climbing in like some kind of like font. I'm not really quite sure what font it is. And then you got some kind of like cursive wording of the together titles. You also got the NG Models logo right there. Now this is back when NG used to introduce their logo. Nowadays they don't do that anymore because of licensing reasons. You also got the 1/4 scale collectible model stock cast metal right there, Delta Airlines logo, and the aircraft registration November 405 Delta X-ray. Here's the bottom of the box. I paid $55.95 for this particular aircraft. Here's the right side of the box, top of the box right there, and left side of the box. And on the back you have like pretty much the same design as before. You got their social media page right there, you got the warning hazards, and the item number of this model is 68033, which is one of Delta's, or not really Delta's, NG's first Airbus A330-Neo molds they did, more in particular the 900. And that's some kind of like text notification I got from some kind of like from my group chat for reasons. Anyways, here's the model itself, looking very nice at 1/4 scale, and the aspects of NG's A330-Neo mold looks almost identical to the A330-300. By the way, the dimensions of the A330-Neo is the same. Well, the 900 in particular is the same as the A330-300, except they added new winglets and new engines. So let's get started with the review of the model as per usual. Let me try zooming it a little closer. I guess for some reason, I don't know why, but it kind of is hard to see whenever I zoom it like that. Anyways, I think this should be better. So here we go with the review. So you got the cockpit windows right there alongside the raccoon mask, a similar characteristic to what they have to their A350s, but now they apply it to the A330-Neos. Some A330-300s have a raccoon design, but majority of the times you would see this on the A330-Neo. And then you got the nose shape of the aircraft, looking very nice with NG's take on the A330's nose. You also got the SkyTeam logo and the L1 boarding door, and then the decal that says Delta is the most awarded airline, and it's show on the on like various like doors. So on the front side, so you got the L1 boarding door right there and the L2 boarding door as well. Now in latest iterations of this, they do have like the Delta's most awarded airline alongside the 100 years logo. So yeah. And then there's your nose landing gear and nose landing gear door containing the plane ship number. You also got the Delta Airlines tiles right there, the logo itself. You also got the top antenna, and then all your various like passenger windows over there. Moving on to the middle section of the aircraft, we got a row of windows over there. You got your Wi-Fi dome and your back antennas as well. There's your Trent 7000 engine, which is the upgraded engine of the current or the CO variant of the engine, which is the Trent 700 on the CO variants of the A330s. You also got your main landing gear as well, and your Sin LC door, which is kind of like one of the characteristics for the Airbus A330. Moving on to the wings section. So here is the wings, looking very nice for the wings, and yeah, good details on the slats, flaps, ailerons, fairings, and all your spoilers and details, and then some pretty details as well. And then there's your winglet, which is kind of like a characteristics on the A330-Neo. Is this unique winglet? It's not really like a winglet of an A350, but it's a tiny little winglet that almost has a similar design to the A330's winglet, which yeah, it does look really cool for this, like not A330, I meant to say A350, but it's nearly identical to an A350 winglet, but it's not really extended to the point where it looks like this. But I will say though, NG Models was able to replicate the A330-Neo's winglet really good on this model, so props to NG Models on that. Moving on to the back section of the plane, here is your bottom antenna, which is located right there. There's your L4 door. Yeah, it's kind of like grainy, so I'm trying to like fix things up. So anyways, here is the L4 door alongside the US flag and the aircraft registration November 405 Delta X-ray. And then moving on to the empennage of the plane, you got your APU, horizontal stabilizers, and the Delta Airlines widget logo. Looking very nice, and NG also did a good job on the printing alongside the 3405 registration, well not really registration, the ship number in this case. So 3405 is the plane ship number. As I move on to the front section of the plane, now originally I was gonna like get this aircraft at the bottom, but I'll kind of show you guys some front details. So here is the front of the plane. You can see some fan blade details on this side of both engines, which I think Engine Models also did a good job on, like getting some details on the engine fan blades. While not as detailed as compared to some models like Aviation 400 or Gemini 200 models, it still looks nice. And then moving on to the front section, you got your various R doors. So let me just prop it like this. So you got R1, R2, R3, and R4, and then you got your forward cargo bin, which is located right there, and then there's your aft cargo bin, and there's your bulk compartment. Now let me give you guys a top view or a top profile view of the plane. Let me just zoom out like this. And then here is the top view of the aircraft right there. You can see some various details alongside the red printed beacon light. Moving on to the bottom, let me just position it like this. So here's the bottom of the model itself. You got the Delta Airlines logo and some other printed details, like some details that are located at the bottom. Looking very nice, although it's kind of hard to see because of the navy blue. Here is the front section of the plane, also looking very nice for NG. I do love the ground flex configurations on this model. And then moving on to the back, here is the back view of the aircraft right there. So looking very nice for NG models. Really nice to have a Delta A330neo in my collection. I do have two Delta A330neos. One of them is a Gemini Jets version of the Team USA aircraft. But I just want to get a standard version Delta A330neo. So really glad that I get to have the chance of getting one. So really nice right here. And where I got this model, so this model in particular is a May 2024 release of Engine Models, and it has that release that has some really cool models like the American MD-80s, and yeah, alongside the Spirit AC-19. But the Delta A330neo, that's when they debuted their molds. Now originally some Delta A330neos were supposed to have some Ultimate Collection packaging. However, due to some I would say pricing issues and all the various aspects of an Ultimate Collection, they ended up making this model a standard version instead, which I can't complain either way. It's just an A330neo from Engine Models or Delta Airlines, so why not have one in my collection? Then I got this model from Airlines International 2024 in Kansas City. I think it's either I got it on, most likely I got it on day 3, I couldn't really recall. But yeah, this model has been with me for a year, and overall it's a pivotal asset for my Delta Airlines collection, and overall really glad to have this particular aircraft in my collection in general, because I do want another A330neo. I don't really have too much representation of A330neos in my collection. I just only have two Delta A330neos, one from Gemini, which is a Team USA, and this one from Engine Models, which is just a standard livery. So hopefully I could see Engine Models do more A330neos in the future. They haven't really done that much for the past few months, but hopefully if ever they do another one, I hope they can do a Condor A330neo, maybe a Virgin Atlantic A330neo. Yeah, various components of an A330neo. But alright, that's still a nice model to add to my collection, and overall I'm really glad to have it. Now while I'm recording this, let me just prop up the camera so I can get into the background information about this particular aircraft. And I thought, why not do it in just one recording, just to save up some time, because of course I got some other things to do. So let's get started with the background information about this Delta Airlines Airbus A330-900Neo, registered November 405 Delta X-Ray. So let me get started with some information from planespotters.net. So the manufacturer's serial number is 1949. Of course, the aircraft type is the Airbus A330-900Neo. This aircraft age is nearing at least 5.9 years. Currently, it is sitting at 5.8 years. The test registration of this aircraft is Foxtrot Whiskey Yankee Mike, and the production site is located in the Toulouse, France Airbus facility. And the airframe status says that it is active, and this was last updated in January 10th of 2025. As I also look into air fleets, I also want to get some information about its first flight date and some other extra components. So the first flight date of this aircraft this particular airframe is November 17th of 2019. The aircraft, of course, has two Rolls-Royce Trent 7000 engines, and the delivery date of this aircraft was February 28th of 2020. And there's some extra remarks about this particular aircraft. So this was a lease from a hidden seller. It was ferried from Toulouse, France to Narita on the 28th to the 29th of February 2020 on delivery. And apparently there was an incident about this particular aircraft on March 24th of 2024 at Salt Lake City International, when a pylon panel fell off of the number 1 engine on takeoff. The aircraft returned to the airport and made a safe landing, and it was stored in Salt Lake City from the 24th to April 1st, which is April Fool's Day, surprisingly enough, of 2024, and it's returned to service on April 4th of 2024. So that's a really interesting history about this particular registration, but at least that aircraft is flying as of late. And if I can search up the registration, now JJ also did this on his videos where he looked at the airframes that are currently active and where is it when it was last flight or if that plane's flying. So let me take a look at 405 Delta X-ray on where she is. And this aircraft is currently flying to Paris Charles de Gaulle from Salt Lake City, and the flight that is operating that flight is Delta Flight 220. So overall, really nice model right here. Really glad to have a Delta A330-900Neo standardly from Delta Airlines, well, from NG models in that case. And hopefully I can see if I can try to buy more A330neos in the future, and hopefully I can see NG release more good A330neos, because like I think it just in general NG kind of lacks on the varieties of A330neos. Like there's a lot of options they could do some A330neos, like again as mentioned before, Condor, Virgin, trying to think of some other airlines, but those are the only two airlines I know that operate the A330neo. So hopefully we can see it in the future, but overall really glad to have this Delta A330-900Neo in my collection, and overall it's a pivotal asset, and hopefully I can feature that model in a future airport update. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell icon so you won't miss a new upload from me anytime soon. And if you want to see more of my model plane content, then you can click on that playlist, and it shows you all the model plane content I do, from unboxings, reviews, and a whole lot more. So that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Good night.